Don't you ever miss the good old days, back when you would come from school and you would hop on with the boys and play some Black Ops 2? Unfortunately, those days are gone. But we can always look back in time to find out what made those times truly special. And today, ladies and gentlemen, that is what we're going to be doing. We're going to be looking at video game nostalgia. Now, what games were very popular back then? Well, the first one that I can think of was Minecraft. Minecraft is probably one of, if not the biggest video game of all time. The fact that you can be in a world with endless opportunities for adventuring and discovering is pretty dope. And the feeling of being stuck in a cave, trapped, while there are monsters around you trying to kill you at every angle is pretty cool. It really brought out the adventuring in young children. And it made them more curious. And it made them wonder more about their world. A lot of games tried to copy Minecraft's popular success. Some might have failed, but others succeeded. For example, Terraria. Terraria put a spin on Minecraft. It essentially took Minecraft's 3D-ness and turned it on its head. It made the game in 2D, which might sound like a downgrade, but it honestly isn't, because it made it so that the game could be expanded in ways never thought of before. Terraria added lots of cool new bosses and stuff that you previously couldn't do in Minecraft. Even to this day, Terraria is still being updated. The developers should take this fat W. Minecraft and Terraria weren't the only games that brought creativity to kids' minds. Roblox as well was pretty popular back in the day, with a lot of Roblox obbies and a lot of cool different games like the classic work at a pizza place. To this day, Roblox is still pretty popular, with stuff like doors or blade ball racking in numbers. Roblox has had a crazy amount of influence on gaming as a whole. We'll see where Roblox goes in the future. A lot of shooters were popular back in the day. Halo being one of them. Classic Halo. The atmosphere of Halo is unlike a lot of games. I always thought that space games were pretty dope, but pairing that with a shooter and having a badass main character makes it even better. Speaking of badass, Doom is the most badass alpha male game out there. Slaying demons while listening to heavy metal is an experience that fulfills you. Not only that, but Doom 1993 was a pioneer in first-person shooters, and to this day it's still pretty fun, not gonna lie. And while there were lots of companies that dominated the gaming industry, a massive company that kept putting out banger masterpiece after banger masterpiece was Valve. First with Half-Life, a game that explores a post-apocalyptic Earth that has been overrun by intergalactic aliens known as the Combine. It explores how we would deal under extreme authoritarianship and what our living conditions would have to be like. Truly a dystopia of modern times. Taking place in the same universe, the Portal franchise was also a pretty big and popular game. Also in a sort of kind of dystopian world, where everybody is more than likely dead, or a big chunk of people are, takes the name of a protagonist by the name of Shell, who has been stuck in a cryogenic sleep chamber for millennia. She has to go through a series of difficult puzzles set up by this sassy AI by the name of GLaDOS, who loves to test puzzles on people. By the way, the humor in this game is funny. The straight in your face humor, the I don't give a fuck humor, and the atmosphere of this game is breathtaking. Being trapped underneath this giant catacomb-like factory/facility is really cool, and I love when games have settings like these. And who can't forget the most popular game on Steam, Counter-Strike. Counter-Strike is a masterpiece shooter. It takes elements of real-life counter-terrorism and puts a fun twist on it. It is without a doubt one of the coolest games out there. But probably the biggest gaming franchise of them all, without a doubt, is Call of Duty. Like, come on, let's be real here. And while Call of Duty has definitely fallen off in recent years, Call of Duty as a whole has had some of the most breathtaking stories and some of the funnest multiplayer games out there. And who can't forget Zombies, especially Zombies Chronicles. And while Call of Duty is cool, there is a game that is a bit more realistic than Call of Duty that makes you feel like you're actually in war. And that game, my friends, or as in Quebec they'd say, mes amis, is Battlefield. Battlefield as a whole, the whole franchise, makes you feel like you're actually in war, except 2042, that game is trash. Another big video game company that was really popular, especially in the 90s and the 2000s, was Nintendo. Obviously, there was Mario, probably the biggest video game mascot of all time. And a lot of Mario games were pretty awesome, like Super Mario Sunshine, Super Mario Galaxy, etc. But the best one, and in my opinion the greatest video game of all time, was Super Mario 64. Super Mario 64 is my childhood, and even though graphics have advanced so much, Super Mario 64 still holds up to this day. It truly revolutionized the gaming industry as a whole back then. Other games that released for the Nintendo 64 that were also pretty good included Mario Kart 64 and Ocarina of Time, and Majora's Mask. Again, another popular game franchise being Zelda that to this day still puts out banger games, like Zelda Breath of the Wild 1 and 2. And of course, I can't forget Pokémon. What started as a renowned video game series that then transcended into anime, films, and of course, cards. Oh, and I can't talk about Nintendo without talking about Sega and Sonic. The other Japanese video game company with a video game mascot that is extremely lovable and has a special ability. And of course, how could I forget about good old Bethesda? Insert a Todd Howard meme here. Bethesda is a company that has pushed out many creative open world dialogue games like Elder Scrolls, where the fuck is Elder Scrolls 6, and Fallout. Both of these games take place in unique settings, a post-apocalyptic America, and in a quote-unquote medieval-esque era. And while there were lots of major studios that pumped out great games, the one major game that I can think of that had the biggest impact on the gaming community that wasn't from a AAA studio, apart from Minecraft, was FNaF, the game that popularized and took the indie horror genre to the next level. Another horror game that I can think of that was also extremely popular back in the day was Resident Evil, obviously, and to this day it is still popular with new entries like 7 or 8, but obviously the best one being 4. It just seems like recently games have not been hitting like they used to. For example, Battlefield 2042 was trash, the modern Call of Duties have been trash, Bethesda and Ubisoft are, Bethesda and Ubisoft. It just seems like video games as a whole have been taking a decline. However, one franchise that has always stayed at the top of their game, and one studio in general that has always stayed at the top of their game, is GTA and Rockstar. Obviously, GTA is the game itself. It's the game of life. And games like GTA 4 and GTA 5 showcase the true reality of the American dream and what it's like to truly live in an American utopia, quote unquote. With GTA 6 on the way, it seems like maybe we just might get another banger that will completely blow every other game out of the water. That being GTA 6. We will have to see how things go, as anything other than the greatest video game of all time will not suffice enough for fans. But maybe Rockstar can deliver their magic. And yet again, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, it's time to dive into the motherboard of video games.